Welcome back. All right, so news of the day video for all you fine people for your Sunday, January 22nd. Of course, the Canucks still dominating the news cycle, but there are other things going on. I'll start things off talking about the Blackhawks in that Jeff Merrick reporting that Kane and Taves, the decision on what they're going to do is expected by mid-February. It is possible the trade deadline action starts to heat up around then. Teams being up against the cap is definitely hampering any kind of trade discussions. We've seen minor trades, nothing major since the start of the season. And I mean, I look at this and I think hopefully this teaches GMs not to spend right to the cap so they can't make moves. But who am I kidding? It's not going to happen. They're going to keep doing it. So I expect this to be the way things are this year, next year, and beyond. It's worse now than it was, but it has been an issue for around a decade now, and so it just feels like that's what they have to spend to the cap. You have to spend right to the cap, right to the very dollar in many cases. So Kane and Taves with their contracts too, they're expensive contracts, so Chicago's probably going to take stuff back, and they'll probably have to retain some money. They might even need a third party in order to make the money work, but it's at least a while away still. Kane and Taves do have the basically the right at this point in their careers to choose however they want this to play out. Darryl Sutter, there are people mad at him for the way that he discussed Jacob Pelletier in a press conference yesterday after the game was done. I've watched it a couple of times. I mean, he talks about how many minutes he played and how many seconds average shift and shots on goal, and basically along the lines of he played. There wasn't much there, I don't think, for him to grade. So while it would have been nice to hear him say, great kid, I really like his attitude, awesome, great, fun, great guy. It's not Sutter's way. Sutter is not a coach. I could see little Jimmy sitting there and having a great birthday party, and Darryl going, do you know how much this party set us back? I really hope you enjoy this, and kind of just bring it down just a little bit. He's just that's his personality. So to expect some kind of, I think Pelletier was great and what a good first start. It's how Darryl is. So I'm not really surprised that Sutter would have that attitude. I do think it's getting blown out of proportion. And again, this is how it works now. That a coach will say something or a player says something, it gets completely blown out of proportion. So. I think there's some of that with the Sutter thing, too. I think that he's probably after that game yesterday, they just beaten Tampa. He wasn't really all that worried about Pelletier. Now, the Canucks, according to Friedman, are setting their asking price for Horvat. They're trying to narrow down who's in the running for Horvat and gauging interest. But, of course, when it comes to the Canucks, there was the press conference today. Rick Tocchet impressed during the press conference. Rick Tocchet also deleted his Twitter, said he did that because he's no longer on TNT. He had some public likes that Canuck fans want to get mad about because they were perceived as being sexist or some of the political side. To me, that's not interesting because I want to know the job the guy's going to do on the ice. The job the guy's going to do behind the bench. So that's why I try to stay out of all that because I don't care. Can you be the best guy for the job? All right, cool. And so Tocchet saying all the right things, whereas Rutherford is the gift that keeps on giving, basically stating that it was all speculation, that the whole thing behind Boudreau, there wasn't really much there, it was all speculation, as if he didn't himself say, I'm talking to other candidates while Bruce still had a job. So... yeah, I don't know. I mean, and the thing is, this is a YouTube video. I won't accuse anybody of lying because that can be seen as actionable. But there might be some misremembering going on here in that Patrick Allvin saying that the decision to hire Rick Tocchet was made today. So Tocchet just happened to be in Vancouver today for the press conference. Good thing that all lined up. And the fact that it happened one day before the rumored time doesn't make me feel like is this just an inaccuracy on his part? Is this something that, I don't even understand the point of lying about it. I don't get it. There's Rutherford. Oh, well, he's a friend of mine, and Bruce is a friend of mine, and yeah, it's a tough thing. Okay, and they never considered an interim coach. Then that's dumb. Interim coaches, that's been a thing in the NHL for decades, for as long as I've watched the game. There's no shame in having an interim coach. I don't understand having a coach behind the bench you have no faith in, that you're going to fire, because it can't be a positive environment. No matter how great that coach might be, no matter how good your players might be at tuning things out, it can't be great. It can't be awesome. To be out there doing practices for a guy is getting canned. It has to be awkward. How was your weekend? Oh, I don't know if I want to ask Bruce that, because I know how his weekend was. It sucked. Like, it's just it's so. And then Rutherford says, "Well, it was all speculation, and I'll just zip it now." Okay, so it wasn't speculation. You said it, and if it was all speculation, then media would have been proven wrong. Many in the media knew what was coming and when. This is why I'm glad I don't have insider info. I really am. I'm glad I'm in the dark on this. I really, because I couldn't have held back if I had somebody on the inside saying, yeah, Bruce, they've already hired, if I was being told that. So on some level, I kind of feel bad for Tocchet. This market can be brutal. But at the same time, he's been around the game for a long time. He knows what he's getting into. And their first game under Tocchet's against Chicago. So it's not like this was planned, right? That the upcoming games are ones that the Canucks should win, right? So, and Tocchet saying things about certain guys needing to get in the lineup. And whatever he wants to say is fine. The blue line's not good enough. The goaltending's not good enough. So we can talk about role players and whoever. The goaltending, the defense aren't good enough. That's on management. And so here we go. Just rinse and repeat. I do hope that for their sake they've got this figured out and this turns out to be a really smart decision. But yeah, Bruce, meanwhile, can sit back, have himself a beer, watch some football today. Speaking of which, I want to jump to this one because I think that's a good segue. Lindy Ruff at the presser after the game today. Let's keep this quick. The Bills are playing. He's right. They were playing the Bengals. So I think it's nice to see a coach saying, "All right, let's keep this as quick as possible." Lindy Ruff doing well, and apparently Vitek Vanacek refers to himself in the third person, which is awesome. I think all players should refer to themselves in the third person. I would start with JT Miller in Vancouver, and I would start with JT Miller in Vancouver basically putting himself down a little bit, like, JT's got to stop with the turnovers. I'll talk to him, that kind of thing. But at any rate, the Devils probably feeling all right today with the way that game turned out. The waiver wire, yesterday Brodzinski was waived. He cleared today. Anton Bleeds on waivers for Colorado, should clear. Toronto's waived Dryden Hunt. I've already seen a bunch of, he'll get claimed because he's a Maple Leaf. I don't think he will. Dryden Hunt, I'm pretty sure, has cleared waivers in the past. He, of course, was picked up for Melgen, a trade of 2 fourth-liners, just looking to see if they can get anything going. And in Hunt's case, it just hasn't worked. So I remember Hunt I originally liked. I believe he came up with Florida initially, and I thought he had some upside there, but that's kind of gone by the wayside now. So at the very least, if it doesn't work out with the NHL, Hunt and Bleed. Either you start a metal band. You've got the choice of a metal band. You could also start a law firm. Hunt and Bleed. Oh man, that's a law firm you'd be scared of. There's various other things they could do as well. A buddy cop picture. So at any rate, we'll see whether or not they both clear, and we'll see what happens from there. Some guys have gotten picked up on waivers recently. Asamont with San Jose is a good example. But you can never really tell who's going to pass through and who's not. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.